American icon Mark Twain once quipped, "I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened." Worry, fear, despair. Think of how many times that allows us to get caught up and wrapped around our own axle and not even be able to move forward on the things that we want to have in our lives because we're so worried about what's going to occur. But imagine if rather than be a worrier, you could be a warrior. Hi everyone, Chris NATZKE here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion tip of the week. Worry. You know, for me, it's one of the most debilitating things that I've had to overcome in my life. I come from a long line of worriers on both sides of my family. And yes, Mom, if you're watching this, I love you, but you know it's true. But one of the things that I've really come to realize is that worry is a state of mind, and that it can be habitual in our minds if we allow it to. But when we can step back and we can look at things objectively, it oftentimes leads us to be able to overcome that sense of worry and take proactive action to get where we want to go. In his landmark study called The Worry Cure, Dr. Robert Leahy did a study, and what he found is that 97% of the things that we worry about either never happen or they aren't as bad as we thought they'd be. 97%. Now I want you to consider something for a moment. How would you live your life differently if you knew that to be true? What conversations would you have? What chances would you take? What new adventures would you embark upon? If you knew that 97% of the time that you're worrying, it really is, there's nothing positive about that. So what I'd like to do right now is basically share with you 6 strategies that I've developed and I practice in my life because, my gosh, I still have worry come up and I have to actively work to overcome it, but that I work with myself and with my own clients on to be able to overcome the worry so that you move from a worrier to being a warrior. So what's the first one? Well, number one is to slow down and breathe. Slow down and breathe. One of the things I get to do is teach what I call adrenal self-defense classes. It's basically the response we feel when we're in danger. And one of the things that we'll automatically do when we're in this place of feeling in danger or if we're in worry and fear is we'll stop breathing. But one of the strategies that yogis all the way across to special forces in the military do is they learn how to get in touch with their breath during those times of anxiety. And a great strategy for that is something called box breathing. So a box breathing would be to inhale, say, for a count of 4. Hold it for a count of 4. Then exhale for a count of 4. And then hold it for a count of 4. Then inhale 4, hold for 4, exhale 4, and then hold for 4. And do that 5 repetitions, and what you'll find is that you'll begin to calm not only your body, but you'll calm your mind, because our best decisions are not made when we're in a state of worry and or fear. Number 2 is to write it down. Now, I want to talk about this in 2 ways. You know, there's a lot of crazy stuff that rattles around up there when we're in the state of fear and worry. And so the first thing to do is to just write down everything you're concerned about happening, all the catastrophes that might occur, and just get them all out. And then, but once you've done that, and once you've got them on paper and you move them from your mind, then get really clear and write down what's really happening. What's really happening. So maybe you've had a financial setback and you talk about all the, all the facts and the things that might account to you losing your money, losing this, that, the other. But maybe what's really happening is that your car broke down and you need to spend money on it. And when you whittle it down to just what really happens, now you can go into action in terms of how you can deal with that issue, right? Rather than worrying about what might happen, you talk about what can you do to overcome it, and you start taking those steps. So write it down. Number 3 is look very closely at what you can control and what you can't. See, many times what we do is we end up getting in this cycle of worrying about the things that we can't control. And at the end of the day, we can't control them. Now, they might not be pleasant. They may not be something we'd wish upon ourselves. But when we're spending time on worrying about things that we can't control, what we're not doing is focusing on taking action steps on the things we can control. And I want you to just think about your own life. How many times have you been worried about something that you can't control? You worry, and all of a sudden it just went away. And you're going, oh my gosh, I spent all that time worrying about that and nothing ever became of it. But focus on the things you can have some control over and take action. Number next is to imagine the positive outcome. I once had a coach tell me, he said, Chris, if you're going to fantasize, you might as well win. But you see, many of us, what we'll do is we'll automatically default to the worst case scenario. Now, I believe that we're kind of hardwired that way. You know, when we were cavemen and we were having to be out in the wild and we were afraid that if we ran into an animal, a saber-toothed tiger, that we might become their lunch, we had to have this high sense of alertness and worry in order to just survive. But we don't really live in that environment anymore. And many times the worry that we create inside of ourselves is just that. It's something that we've created inside of ourselves. And if we've created it inside ourselves, we can de-create it inside ourselves. So imagining what you want. Now, after you've gone through this process, the fifth step is to take some action. And what I recommend is do something that you can do immediately. And it doesn't need to be massive. But what it does need to be is consistent. So if you've got something that's going on that is troubling you, you're worried about, take that first next move, that first right next move. And then what's the next right move? And then what's the next right move? Many times we paralyze ourselves because we're thinking we have to take massive action. We don't know what it is. But almost always, when we're in a place where we are in fear and worry, what we can do is we can say, man, what can I do next? And just take that step. And then what can I do after that? And then what you begin to do is build momentum. You build momentum. And then finally, once you've gone through those 5 steps, it's time for the 6th step, which is just to let it go. You've done all you can do. You can focus on the things you can control. You took the action that you were meant to take. You got yourself in a state to be able to do that. Now you need to let it go. And I can guarantee you, my friends, more times than not, it's going to turn out just fine, if not better than what you thought. Take it from someone who spent way too much energy worrying about things and then having them not turn out to be as bad as I thought they'd be anyway. So, what's your next move? What are you going to be doing in your life, whether you're in a state of worry right now and fear, or when it does come up? What are you committed that is going to be your step to take some action so that you can transcend that experience? Are you going to slow down and breathe? Are you going to write it down? Are you going to focus on the things you can control and the things you can't? Are you going to imagine your success? What action you're going to take? And then finally, are you willing to let it go? And in that case, you too, my friend, can transcend from being a worrier into a warrior in life. So thanks so much. If you want more information, go to my website, chrisnatzke.com, and then you can also subscribe to this Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week that I do each week. And if you have any ideas that you'd like me to share or any comments, and I would love to hear those as well. So this has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching, and we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.